VI stocked up on fuel, groceries, pulled boats ashore, or moored them at marinas. It was business as usual for most residents in the aftermath. Police arrest 2 men who they say fired multiple shots towards a vehicle. Plus, as we continue breast cancer awareness, we examine the stages. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. While the territory dodged a bullet, and Bernie Reno is standing by in our News 2 Weather Center with the latest. Bernie.
Well, Hurricane Gonzalo continues to move to the north and the northwest. And boy, we really got spared from this storm. It moved just far enough to our north and east, and that we didn't get a whole lot, thankfully. And boy, oh boy, you could even see how this hurricane is getting stronger and stronger. It'll continue to pull away to the north and to the northwest. So its impacts on us is not going to be that much. We do have to keep an eye on this for Bermuda as we get into Friday. But for our weather behind this, boy, oh boy, drier air continues to come on in, and it is going to be a pretty nice night. A little breezy, but not a whole lot. You wouldn't know that there's a hurricane to our north. Nothing more than a shower in places. And wait till you see what I have coming up over the next 5 days. It looks nice. Sandy, back to you.
Again, the territory dodged a bullet and fared well with the passing of the hurricane. The storm was at last report packing sustained winds of nearly 70 miles per hour, but a slight shift in the storm's path spared the VI the destruction seen in other areas. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
The sea is back to normal, and so is everything else. On Monday, the territory was preparing for the worst with reports of Hurricane Gonzalo on the way. Thankfully, those fears weren't realized.
Fortunately, what we was expecting anyway from 4 to 8 inches of rain and maximum sustained wind of 75 miles an hour, we did not receive that.
Most students headed back to school Tuesday in both districts. In many places that planned closures opened their doors. The air and seaports were open, though some slightly delayed, and even the few pockets of power outages reported were back to normal by mid-afternoon Tuesday. Vitima said the VI was prepared.
We followed the same procedures where we activated our emergency operations centers. We also briefed the governor and the members of the cabinet in terms of preparedness, and certainly along with the National Guard.
FEMA officials were also on the ground to support the territory in the event Gonzalo hit. That hurricane is now a Category 3 storm, the second major hurricane this season, and because of that, officials urge residents to stay vigilant.
We're still in the height of the hurricane season, which ends on November 30th. So I want to underscore again the importance for businesses, individuals, to prepare themselves and the businesses for any eventuality.
Not far behind Gonzalo is another system. Vitima is keeping an eye out, but it's not expected to pass our way. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now, Hurricane Gonzalo pulled away from Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands, and the VI Tuesday afternoon. It could hit Bermuda later this week. We'll have more on the weather later on in the newscast. Looking for some engaging commentary on topics affecting the Virgin Islands? Then watch Talk To, the powerful subject-driven talk show covering politics, education, the economy, crime, and current events. Tonight's topic, the 5 biggest challenges facing the VI today with Michael Bourne. Be sure to tune in right after News 2 at 7:30 for engaging commentary on topics that are affecting our VI. In other news, 2 men are facing charges of reckless endangerment after being identified as people who shot after a car in July. Police say 18-year-old Elroy Tund and 21-year-old Raheem Charlery were arrested Friday morning for the Mutual Homes incident.
According to officers, the suspects fired at the vehicle and damaged it, but did not injure the man who was driving the vehicle. Then the suspects, armed with a handgun and an assault weapon, went to the same individual's home and threatened to kill him. After concerned citizens in the area intervened, the suspects left the area without harming anyone. The suspects were charged with reckless endangerment, unauthorized possession of a firearm, carrying or using a dangerous weapon during the commission of a crime of violence, and brandishing and exhibiting a deadly weapon.
The Smith Bay Community Action Foundation say the strategy of paying people to help clean up the environment is working. Over 35 bags of garbage was picked up. Well, they held a Cash for Trash cleanup initiative in the Smith Bay community on Saturday. The nonprofit organization provided 55-gallon trash bags in exchange for $1 a bag. The SBCAF invited all residents of surrounding neighborhoods, fraternities, civic organizations, and even high school students who are seeking community service hours to participate. It was a first-time event that they hope to continue and even encourage other organizations to follow suit. Delegate to Congress Donna Christensen criticized what she sees as a slow and somewhat disorganized federal approach with the Ebola virus, and wrote to the chief executive officers of the Schneider Regional Medical Center and the Juan Luis Hospital and Medical Center last week, asking the execs if the hospitals had received screening protocols and if they had trained staff to address the situation if a patient with troubling symptoms came to their facilities. She also inquired if the CDC had provided enough guidance and were responsive to any concerns. Christensen said she applauds the outreach done by the Department of Health to all providers and offered her office for any assistance that might be needed. Meanwhile, turning our attention overseas, there's an update on the nurse who caught Ebola inside a Dallas hospital, and health officials confirmed they're monitoring 76 healthcare workers who had contact with Thomas Duncan while he was dying from the virus.
The head of the CDC says from now on, he'll send a go team to any hospital caring for a confirmed Ebola patient. This after 26-year-old nurse Nina Pham became infected with the virus while caring for the first Ebola patient, Thomas Duncan, at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital.
I wish we had put a team like this on the ground the day the first patient was diagnosed. That might have prevented this infection.
Dr. Frieden says they have now identified 76 healthcare workers at the hospital who cared for Duncan. He says they're doing well. Dr. Frieden also had encouraging news about the 48 other people who came in contact with Duncan before he was isolated at the hospital.
They've all passed more than 14 days, and while it wouldn't be impossible that some of them would develop the disease, they've now passed through the highest risk period, and it's decreasingly likely that any of them will develop Ebola.
The CDC director says they still haven't determined the breach in protocol at the hospital he says led to Pham contracting the virus. I asked him how they're trying to figure it out.
The way we do that is to review in great detail everything that occurred. She's been terrific at assisting our investigators and going through the steps so we can all try to learn together how to keep healthcare workers safer against the virus. It's something that we don't always come to a conclusion.
Now, also overseas, friends and family members of Haiti's late dictator, Jean-Claude Duvalier, carried his flag-draped coffin after a funeral in Port-au-Prince on Saturday. Hundreds of people attended. Mourners paused to pay their last respects in front of his coffin and greeting his ex-wife and 2 children. There were no protests at the funeral, although a couple of men yelled "Down with Duvalier." Duvalier became president in 1971 at the age of 19 when his father, dictator Francois Papa Doc Duvalier, died from a sudden illness. Duvalier was ousted by a popular uprising in 1986. He left Haiti with his wife and exiled himself to France. In 2011, Duvalier was charged with corruption, theft, and misappropriation of funds. As much as 30,000 Haitians were executed during his regime. Keeping our eye on the economy, get ready to pay a little more for your sweet tooth. Cocoa prices are soaring, and that could send the price of chocolate up too. The Ebola outbreak in West Africa, which produces 70% of the world's cocoa, has affected supply. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. The Dow down 5, NASDAQ and S&P up 13 and 2. Coming up on News 2, we continue our Breast Cancer Month awareness. The stages of breast cancer, we examine how far it can spread and why that information is necessary for the patient and the doctor. After breast cancer has been diagnosed, tests are done to find out if the cancer cells have spread within the breast or to other parts of the body. The process used to find out whether the cancer has spread within the breast or to other parts is called staging. We continue Breast Cancer Awareness Month recognition. Why is the breast cancer stage important?
So breast cancer is divided into different stages, like most other cancers. There is stage 0, where the cancer is in the milk ducts. It's called intraductal cancer or intraductal carcinoma. At stage 0, the cells are abnormal, but they're not able to spread. However, over time, those cells can transform into invasive cancer. So if a person has stage 0 breast cancer, we still recommend surgery. Then the next stage is stage 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4.
Determining the stage helps determine the best way to contain and eliminate breast cancer. The stage is based on the following factors: the size of the tumor within the breast, the number of lymph nodes affected,
The size of the tumor, whether or not the tumor or the cancer has gotten into the lymph nodes under the arm. So we have lymph nodes all throughout our bodies. Those lymph nodes are important because they help to fight against infections. They're part of our immune system. However, cancer cells are very smart, and they use those lymph nodes to travel from one part of the body to the next. So when you look at the size of the tumor, whether or not it's gotten into the lymph nodes under the arm, that will determine the stage of the cancer. And if the cancer has spread to other organs in the body, and breast cancer can travel anywhere. It can go to the brain, it can go to the lungs, it can go to the bones, anywhere in the body. And at that stage, it's determined to be stage 4, which is incurable.
The Schneider Regional Medical Center at the CKCI on Wednesday, October 15th, will be featuring speaker Dr. Ruby Belton from 12 to 1 p.m. She is a diagnostic radiologist with over 38 years of experience in her field and the first African-American female to graduate from the University of Rochester School of Medicine and Dentistry in New York. Now on Friday, October 17th, many employees are asked to wear something pink in recognition of breast cancer awareness. And don't forget the American Cancer Society is making strides against breast cancer of St. Thomas, along with Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, as they host their 3K mile walk on Sunday, October 26th. Well, our other recognition, there are several activities planned in both districts this week to shine the light on the fight against domestic violence. On Wednesday, agencies that advocate against domestic violence will be on Face-to-Face on Channel 12. You're encouraged to wear black every Thursday this month as part of the Thursdays Black Initiative. That's where people stand in solidarity with victims of violence. The Family Resource Center is hosting the Bilingual Day at Tutu Park Mall on Saturday from 10 to 2. The Women's Coalition of St. Croix, of course, will be hosting their supermarket campaign at both Kmart West and Plaza East this Saturday as well from 9 to 3. Donate to the cause to help support needy families. And remember to wear your purple ribbon all month long. Well, let's take a look at the prices at the pumps. They are staying the same this week, 6 weeks straight. Retail gas station owners can expect to pay a wholesale rate of $3.54 for regular at Hovenza's rack. The cost for premium is $3.74, and retailers will pay $3.46 for diesel when they buy their fuel wholesale from Hovenza. Now, those rates include the 14-cent tax Hovenza collects for the government. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.